In this presentation, we are going to be talking about differentiating project-based and problem-based learning. So for this presentation, I'm going to go ahead and talk about one of my capstone courses that I'm currently teaching. It's called Taste of Teaching. It's open to juniors and seniors, and you also have to have an interest in the field of education. So all of the students in my class have already taken our prerequisite courses and have a little bit of teaching experience in our preschool lab. But this is a little bit different because we provide them with on-site experience 4 days a week in local community schools where they're teaching and kind of have somewhat of a student teaching experience in grades K through 8. So one of our goals of the class and one of the main objectives for myself and the other person that I teach it with is we want the students to think like teachers always and to be confident problem solvers and work to collaborate with one another. This is something that is very real world like. So giving them these experiences really is preparing them for college and beyond, and hopefully will give them a better idea of what they want to do in the future. So seeking real world experience was one of our questions, and obviously becoming a confident problem solver and a collaborator. So there are a few different solutions, and that is what I'll be sharing with you today in the rest of these slides. There's two different buzzwords that you hear in the field of education: problem-based learning and project-based learning. They kind of are used interchangeably, although they are not the same thing. They also go by the acronym of PBL. Although they're very similar, they also are very different and have a little bit of a different focus, so I will be going into that as well. So in the next few slides, we'll be going over the benefits of each of these approaches, similarities and differences, and also how they would be used in that capstone course that I described on the previous slide. So for Taste of Teaching, the very first instructional strategy that I'm going to show or explain is problem-based learning. So the example is just providing students with a problem and their task is to find the answer. That sounds super duper simple, but it's not that simple. As stated by Kilroy, problem-based learning, or PBL, derives from a theory which suggests that for an effective acquisition of knowledge, learners need to be stimulated to restructure information they already know within a realistic context, to gain knowledge, and then to elaborate on the new information that they have learned. So that's a big quote, has a lot of words in there, but what it's basically saying is students need to have different experiences if they really want to learn and relearn and form the knowledge to best fit their schema. So an example would be, I would provide students with this question: you are a new teacher and your incoming 4th grade class has gotten the lowest test scores for the past 4 years. That's it. Their problem is to come up with a solution. So what do you do to better the needs of your students? Obviously, in the past, their needs were not being met. The answer is not that, okay, this is just a slower group than the rest of the school. That's not an appropriate answer. So they have this problem, and they have to come up with a solution. The only one of the requirements would be that it has to be presented in a formal manner. So everyone's answers will be different, but they will all be presented in the same way. So for this, the presentation would be like to a mock school board to pitch their new idea for learning or their solution to this problem. So whether it's through a PowerPoint, a Prezi, anything like that, they have to have a presentation, but their solution may be different because the way that they're looking at the problem will be different based on their background knowledge and their opinions and ideas around the field of education. The second instructional approach, as we discussed before, is project-based learning. So again, I'm using my Taste of Teaching class as an example for this. So this is when you provide students with a problem and their task is to find an answer. As stated by Thomas, projects are complex tasks based on challenging questions or problems that involve students in design, problem solving, decision making, or investigative activities. Give the students the opportunity to work relatively autonomously over extended periods of time and culminate in realistic products or presentations. So as you can see in this little definition from Thomas, you see the word problem solving in there. So the way I view it as project-based learning is like the larger outcome, and you can have some problem-based learning in there. So in the example, my question to my class would be, in what ways can the education system be changed to maximize creativity and success? So based on that, there's going to be some problems that students see and that they're going to have to solve throughout. However, the whole in the project-based strategy, it's a bigger end result. So students have to take the question and demonstrate their answer. So I would provide students with a project outline, However, it would be very open-ended, and all students will have different final products, which is very interesting. I've actually done this before. I've used this question, and we had students actually physically build schools. We had students create a different website portal for applying to colleges. We had students create floor plans and design plans for schools. It was all over the place. However, they were able to answer that question. When people asked, we had an exposition for this. When people asked, okay, so how does this maximize creativity and success, and how does it bring change to the current system? They had answers based on whatever they were presenting. So that was very interesting. So which one works for you? Every class is completely different, and what you're trying to accomplish is completely different. So problem-based and project-based can be used in most scenarios. It just depends on the outcome that you want and the overall experience. So problem-based is more structured. The final presentation method is the same. However, all students will have different ideas. Project-based, again, all students will have different ideas, but it's a little bit less structured, a lot of alone work time, and the final presentations will all be different from one another. That was just a quick glimpse of the difference between project-based learning and problem-based learning. As you can see, they're very similar, however, they're very different. When you're using them, it's just important to really think about your class and what is appropriate for them based on maturity level, autonomy level, because they have to be able to work on their own, and also just what you want the final products to be. If you want it to be something a little bit shorter, you can use the problem-based approach, and that could be a 2-3 day lesson. However, the project-based approach generally lasts a few weeks, months, and it can even last the entire school year or semesters at a time. Thank you.